Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be providing a long-term market analysis update for Bitcoin, and specifically we're going to talk about the idea of a Bitcoin capitulation, and we'll be looking at the volume as evidence, which has historically been a great indicator for capitulation events during the bear markets. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, by the way, feel free to check out my Twitter page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below if you want to go ahead and check that out. So first, I just want to discuss what's really happened here over the last few weeks, where we've seen on this weekly candle, the week of November 7th, Bitcoin declined by about 22%, taking us to this new local low around 15.6K. And the volume had a huge spike up, a huge increase. And if I just take a horizontal line here, we've really only seen a few times in Bitcoin's history where the volume has gotten up to this level. And what's pretty interesting to note is how this weekly candle had the highest volume in about 18 months. And the last time we actually got up to that level was the week of May 17th, where you can see Bitcoin form that big and massive drop down lower to that $30,000 region of support. And even though Bitcoin consolidated for the next few months, this capitulation on the volume really did a great job at identifying a local low. Yes, we did make a lower low a few weeks later in June by just a few percent, but ultimately this was the region of support that Bitcoin found some demand, and this is where we really formed that local low and base, later going on to put in a new all-time high. And then if we continue on, we can see that the volume also reached this level right here in January of 2021, but this was during a bull market, so we're not going to really focus on this. What we can focus on, though, is the capitulation that we had in March of 2020. And the volume was very high on this capitulation. We had exceeded the level that we saw back here on the week of November 7th by a significant amount. And you can also see the same thing. We had that massive drop down where on the weekly, Bitcoin declined by about 33%. And this did a great job at identifying when a lot of people started to panic, started to sell their positions and their spot Bitcoin. And then again, we can see that we saw the volume reached this level again in June of 2019, but this was also during a bull market, this massive move up that we had off these lows, so we're not going to pay attention to this. We're going to look at this level, though, right here in November of 2018 as a very similar amount of volume. And this also had a very similar market structure in which we had this defined level of support right around $6,000, and then ultimately we had that big drop lower with this weekly candle taking Bitcoin down about 29%. And it's really not too far off what we've seen already. We had that support right around 18 to 19K, and then on this weekly candle we declined 22%, forming those lower lows. So it's a very similar pattern, especially considering how significant the volume was on this last move lower. And for 2018, this volume spike did a great job at identifying, again, when a lot of people started to panic sell their positions and a lot of people started to give up on their longer term holdings. And I think there's a lot of parallels in terms of the charts and the overall sentiment between where we are today and this time frame back in the later portion of 2018. Now, earlier on in 2018, we also saw several times the volume exceed this level I have marked out. And one of the times was right here in February of 2018 on this first capitulation, this first leg down, in which we actually saw a pretty decent bounce. But ultimately, this was the region at 6K where we later broke right here in November. So even though we had this major event in which the volume had a huge spike up, this did not mark a longer term local low. In fact, this was just an area where we had this bear market rally. And I would argue that we've seen a very similar thing happen this time around again. Going back here to June, we had that same thing. We came back down, we retested the support at 19K, we had that same volume spike, and later on we did form that breakdown, that lower low, and we have come back down to this region. Again, forming those lower lows, breaking the support after the volume spike on the first leg down after this bear market rally. So overall, there's a lot of similarities, and what I'm trying to get at in this video is that even though we are starting to form lower lows, it does seem to me that sentiment is reaching those extreme levels. We've seen a lot of capitulation-like events, and those types of events are typically seen at the extreme events, both to the upside and to the downside. So I hope you guys did enjoy the content and the analysis. By the way, make sure to check out my Twitter page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.